Good morning, Prime Minister. Just wanted to ask you about Enbridge and how you're planning to accommodate Premier Christy Clark's 5 demands to ensure that BC's approval for that project goes ahead.
Well, first of all, let me just be clear that all such projects undergo an independent and thorough environmental review process. That process is, as you know, underway. All of these projects go through processes to make sure they're environmentally sound, and that if there's any particular remedial or preventative actions that need to be taken, that those are taken into account. This government is also, as part of our Responsible Resource Development Initiative, making significant investments into both the monitoring and response to any environmental difficulties. And there's a range of measures we're taking in terms of tankers, in terms of inspectors, a whole range of things that we're investing in. So all of those issues will have to be thoroughly aired and thoroughly taken care of, and that's our government's commitment. Now, that all said, I just say, in a broad sense, without getting into the specifics of any project, because I always say the project itself has to be approved through an independent process. We think it's obviously in the vital interests of Canada and in the vital interests of British Columbia as Canada's Asia-Pacific gateway. The economic growth we expect to have here in the future is going to be based on commerce with the Asia-Pacific region, and we think it's important that we continue to diversify our exports through this province.
Next question, Nicole Mordaunt, Reuters.
I meet with all the premiers regularly, and I've spoken to the premier about this.
I'd like to hear what you said to Premier Clark in response to her demands. Your government seems to be at odds with the majority of British Columbians on the issue of Enbridge. They're simply opposed to it. They don't want it in BC. Your senior minister took issue with the company that's going to be building the pipeline, yet the persistence in this province, the persistent conception anyway, is that your government is determined to ram this thing through no matter what. So I'm wondering, would you disregard the majority will here in British Columbia and push it through no matter what?
I've been very clear that decisions on these kinds of projects are made through an independent evaluation conducted by scientists into the economic costs and risks that are associated with the project. And that's how we conduct our business. Our government also, as I said, will be making further investments to ensure that we are able to provide surveillance and mitigate any environmental risks that exist. And I think that's the only way that governments can handle controversial projects of this manner is to ensure that things are evaluated on an independent basis scientifically and not simply on political criteria. And as I said repeatedly, the government does not pick and choose particular projects. The government obviously wants to see British Columbia's export trade continue to grow and diversify. That's important, but projects have to be evaluated on their own merits. I'm not going to obviously share with you any private conversations I've had with any premier, and I just have discussed this with the Premier of British Columbia and with other premiers. Let me just say this, though. I'm not going to get into an argument or a discussion about how we divide hypothetical revenues.
Yes, Mr. Prime Minister, back to Enbridge again. The opposition to this pipeline here seems to be growing. In fact, I see Danny Williams, the former Premier of Newfoundland, is even giving some support to Christy Clark today on this. But there's also this proposal that this pipeline go through the Northwest Territories. How would you feel about that if this pipeline never sees the light of day in British Columbia and they actually consider putting a pipeline up to the Beaufort Sea?
Well, I said that, I repeat what I've said earlier, that all such projects will go through a thorough independent assessment.